The Citroën SM has often been called the Concorde for the road, and I believe that's a very fitting analogy indeed. Like the legendary supersonic jetliner, the Citroën SM was conceived in unrepeatable circumstances and expressed the boundless optimism and ambition of the 1960s, when people looked at the future with optimism rather than suspicion. Contrary to almost every automobile designed after it, the SM wasn't made to respond to any specific market demand, but rather to chase an engineering ideal. With the SM, a confident, proud Citroën sought to celebrate itself and its savoir-faire. Again, much like Concorde, it was about redefining what was possible in their respective fields. A demonstration of technological supremacy that would sadly prove rather vain. The SM soon became a victim of the changing times, leaving enthusiasts wondering what could have been. By the late 1950s, with the groundbreaking DS into full series production, the Bureau d'études Citroën started to experiment on how far they could take the DS as an engineering platform, aiming to develop a yet more advanced automobile concept. Such experiments, made using shortened two-door DS mules equipped with souped-up engines, went under the name of Project S. By 1966, the project took the direction of a grand touring car with its own unique body design, developed under Robert Opron, the Marque's chief stylist. The body side is very nicely sculpted, with two main character lines drawing a section that accentuates the SM's dart-like profile. Like the DS is mostly based on, the SM's rear track is considerably narrower than the front one, giving the body a lovely taper towards the rear that disguises the vehicle's length from most angles. But even more special, at least to my eyes, is the SM's interior, whose shapely dashboard molding and anodized aluminum inserts would look cool and contemporary even today, over 50 years on. This lovely survivor is equipped with the optional leather upholstery, which significantly contributes to the overall luxury feel. The rear seats are, admittedly, not the best place to enjoy the car, but can be used for short journeys or, even better, for luggage, to supplement the not exactly huge trunk. But what the SM is perhaps most famous for is its Italian engine, which led to Citroën's takeover of Maserati. Contact with the Orsi family, who controlled Maserati, was made at the 1967 Geneva Motor Show. Bringing Maserati under Citroën's full control ensured the planned supply of thousands of engines per year for the future SM. So, by January of 1968, the deal was done. Citroën demanded Maserati's technical director, Giulio Alfieri, to design a compact V engine under 2.8 liters of displacement to stay within a favorable French tax bracket. The C114 V6 engine's basic design was derived from Maserati's existing V8 and retained its 90-degree V-angle, which allowed a lower bonnet line. The 4-cam all-aluminum power unit was very compact and light. Its block was machined from a single casting, with the iron cylinder liners directly in contact with the coolant. The crank rested on 4 large main bearings, with the connecting rods paired up on 3 crank pins. Interestingly, the 2-cylinder heads were interchangeable thanks to their cross-flow design. The cars built until the summer of 1972 are, like this one, equipped with 3 Weber 42 DCNF carburetors. The claimed horsepower figure was a healthy 170 at 5500 rpm, transmitted to the front wheels via a Citroën-designed 5-speed manual gearbox. The SM was launched at the 1970 Geneva Motor Show and listed at a hefty 46,000 French francs. that was roughly double the price of a DS21 and about as much as a Mercedes 280S or a Jaguar XJ6. But that wasn't wishful thinking on Citroën's part, because the SM specification was second to none. The 2.7 liters V6 engine sat longitudinally in a body structure derived from the DS, whose self-leveling hydropneumatic suspension was complemented on the SM by the unique D-Ravi power steering system, which adapted its assistance to vehicle speed and was also self-centering. Traveling on the SM feels exactly as you'd expect, like a DS, but better. The more ergonomic and firmer seats let you enjoy a more comfortable, less upright position, while the suspension soaks up every road imperfection. Outward visibility is very nearly as good as on the DS, thanks to the thin windscreen pillars. The Maserati V6 ticks away unobtrusively, revealing its modernese origin only under hard acceleration. I believe majestic is the word that better sums up the way you travel on the SM, a car that feels much more modern than it actually is. Citroën predicted to sell between 20 and 30 SM a day during the model's planning stage, and the initial market reaction seemed to reflect that, as public and critics alike were smitten by the SM's unique combination of avant-garde style with superior performance and comfort. A market for which Citroën had high hopes was the United States, which received their own version of the SM, sadly disfigured by the local law requirements regarding illumination. In July 1972, the SM's 2.7 liters V6 became yet smoother and slightly more powerful thanks to the Bosch electronic fuel injection system taking the carburetor's place. Despite the high retail price and a dealer network often unable to market properly such high-end vehicles, SM sales matched expectations at around 4,000 units per year, until everything changed. In October of 1973, the OPEC countries sent oil prices skyrocketing, plunging Western economies into recession as retaliation against the allies of Israel during the Yom Kippur War. The oil crisis shook the automotive industry to its core and tipped the financial situation of Citroën over the edge, leading to a government-backed Peugeot takeover in late '74. Sales of high-end cars like the SM all but collapsed. Moreover, the model could no longer be sold in the USA due to the new bumper standards enforced there for the 1974 model year. As a result, Citroën built less than 300 SMs that year, but that was now the least of the company's problems. As Maserati's losses for 1974 surpassed the market value of the company itself, the new management in charge at Peugeot Citroën placed the Modenese company into liquidation in May 1975, effectively spelling the end of the SM, which ultimately disappeared from the Marque's catalogue in summer of 1975 after a total of less than 13,000 cars were made. And if you, like me, think the world would be a better place with more classic Citroëns in it, choose one of the videos appearing on the screen right now, and I promise you won't be disappointed.